What is going on movie meals? Movie meals. Kyle's here. Special guest Jesus Christ has returned.
This time with a bun.
I like
the
Jesus
man
with a
bun.
Our buddy Tanner is back. He's too sweaty. He's too nerdy, so we had to get that out here again for the Mandalorian after show. So let's just jump into this episode. I didn't pull the title. What's the Siege? The episode is The Siege.
Mm-hmm.
I had to remember it. Let's just get into some quick thoughts. Kyle, we'll start with you since yours is super fresh because you just finished it. So what was your overall thoughts of the episode?
Overall thoughts was that it was good. Didn't knock my socks off, but I wasn't as bored with it as I was like episode 2. I wasn't a big fan of that episode, but solid episode anyway. I liked it enough. I think obviously my favorite part was like towards the tail end, like the last few minutes where some new mysteries were kind of uncovered. So, and I'm sure we're going to delve into that some more. But just for overall thoughts, episode was good. Yeah, I liked it.
Good. Tanner?
I agree that I loved the episode. There was a few minor like nitpicks that I had here and there, but I mean, I thought that the directing overall was actually pretty good. I had a few minor gripes here and there, but in terms of what we got of like big reveals and things that were happening in the episode, I'm in love with what happened in this episode. I think the best description that I've heard of it is it feels like a theme park episode right now, and I do tend to agree with that. But man, this is a fun theme park.
Yeah. I liked it quite a bit. I thought it had a rocky start, but then once we kind of got going, I really dove into it. I thought Carl Weathers did a very good job directing for really his kind of like, first bigger budget, I guess, type of show. He's done a couple small things, but I had a lot of fun with it. I remember when the speeders like fly down after they've crashed and start going and the speeders kind of fly down, I remember like I out loud was like, all right, Carl, look at this action you got going on here. Because I thought it was a really cool shot. And then the fact that 3 of them blew up because they were just bad at driving,
right.
I thought was a good moment of humor. I thought this episode had a lot of very good Star Wars humor. Felt classic trilogy humor to me, with maybe the best joke of them all, where our fish boy from the first episode of the first season, when they're like, "Hey, go cool this down," he's like, "There's no guardrails. I could fall." Like, I thought that was the best line because that's such a joke that fans have had forever. How like you look at the Death Star guys when the beam is going through, and it's like there's no rail protecting these guys. Like there's never a rail like we can just hold on to for repairs or something. But I had a lot of fun.
The Death Star.
Yeah. I had a few nitpick problems too. This is also the episode we were expecting. Kyle and I, or we talked about it. I thought it was on this last show we all 3 did, but it might have been with just the 2 of us before. Was it the last one?
It was the last one.
Because it went about what we expected, where we thought, all right, he's got to go back to get his crew or do something with Gina Carano and Carl Weathers, and then he'll go off to Ahsoka. It made sense with Dave Filoni already being announced that he's directing and written the next episode. That would be the one Ahsoka is in a lot, which made sense for a little fun. I mean, going off of my favorite of maybe the whole show, I thought this was a nice little kind of fun episode to get back into the meat of everything. Excuse me, I'm burping. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Does anybody have any thoughts, or should we just force Tanner to read his notes on our show that we don't even ask him to do, but he does because he comes prepared?
Can we talk about Fish Guy?
Yeah, talk about Fish Guy.
Why is he there? Like, who asked for him to come back? It doesn't really matter. I didn't think.
Well, it was a bounty Mando was bringing. He was a bounty that he was bringing to the guild. Yeah, and so it I thought it worked for some humor. I thought it had some fun little humor bits to it of
Yeah, I
some
guess.
Star Wars. It wasn't the best, but I enjoyed it, and I thought his call.
Mhm.
I mean, they went full Game of Thrones. The second in the recap is there was a time in Game of Thrones where their recaps got so much where they were going so far back. Where it's like, okay, so we haven't seen this character in 8 episodes. We're gonna see this character for the first time. And the second I saw that on the recap before I hit that skip button, I was like, all right, he's coming back for some reason.
Right,
Which I thought he was dead. I forgot he was in carbonite. I was like, wasn't he dead? Oh, he was frozen. That's right. So
pretty good reference with him sitting. It was like, oh, I'm still blind out of my left eye for like
yeah,
carbonite freezing. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
I did too. Yeah, but Kyle, you're not a fan of Fish Boy coming back.
I mean, I don't care. It's fine. I just was like, really? This is who we need to bring for this? All right. Like, again, like the humor wasn't bad. It was fine, but I just didn't. It wasn't a character where I was like, man, I got to see more of this guy. You know what I mean? It just wasn't that for me.
Yeah, I forget the actor's name, but he was. I know he's played by one of the SNL alumni that comes out of there. One of the comedians. I think it adds a nice little texture to the universe that we are seeing these callbacks from season 1 getting drug in. Like I'm totally spacing her name, but the landing pad attendant from episode 1. Yeah,
she was in the first one. Yeah.
It just kind of adds a nice little texture and connection to it all. So you get the sense that some of these characters that we're meeting, it's not going to just be one off and we're done. It's nice to see the connection, but I do agree. It's kind of like, was it necessary? No. Is it fun? Sure. It's kind of where I land on Fish Guy.
Yeah,
I loved the Baby Groot moment that we got with Baby Yoda, and
I liked that a lot too.
Which moment?
The first moment, pretty much the start of the show where he's putting in the wires.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I thought it was adorable.
Dude,
Yeah.
Carl Weathers knows how to direct Baby Yoda like nobody's business. Every single scene with Baby Yoda in this episode, I was all on board with. I was just waiting for someone to catch him as he's like using the force powers to like suck over the macaroons to him.
Yeah, I was thinking like the kid with the macaroons. He has to like give Baby Yoda one. You don't just not do that to Baby Yoda. But then the kid's like, no, screw off. And I'm like, oh, Yoda, kill him. I'm kidding. But I was, but I was like, really? You say no to Baby Yoda? And then he steals it. I'm like, I don't even care. Like the kid deserved it.
At least he's no snitch. Like, I mean,
True.
He snuck it away. He snuck it away from him, and he wasn't like, "Yo, I'm about to throat punch you, Baby Yoda." But I mean, God, yeah, and also Baby Yoda when they're getting some serious G's in the Razor Crest, and he's going, "Woo!"
Yeah, with his arms in the background.
Oh, God,
that was a nice little touch.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to bring up a major complaint that I have, and this actually encompasses a lot of Star Wars, but I think this episode really kind of illustrated a lot of this. Sometimes I get really upset as to the ineptitude that they give the Empire and Stormtroopers. It just seems like plot-wise at times, and I mean, this is me saying it because I love Star Wars, I love Stormtroopers, but I still have my minor complaints about this. But it felt like any single time that we saw a Stormtrooper or our heroes got into a conflict with the Stormtroopers, there was no stakes. Even though there was like 3 TIE fighters that were chasing behind them, I guess it just never really felt like any of us were really in danger. And that kind of stinks. It would have been... It's just that thing. It'd be nice if you could get a little bit of damage on characters or show that there's a little bit of competency amidst the Stormtroopers. Just saying.
Yeah. I get that a lot. I was hoping, especially in this episode, like we could see that competency a bit more, especially since they're under the orders of I'm spacing on the main villains. Yeah, Moff Gideon. Thank you. Like, you know, it's a
Oh,
new
boy.
guy. Let's see him, you know, take control of these stormtroopers and maybe have them aim a bit better.
Right.
So, but by the looks of things, they're going to keep it as is with how stormtroopers go. And I will say that does bum me out a little because it does kind of lower, you know, the anticipation and the buildup of like, are they going to make it out of it?
Right.
So I get it.
Real quick, the actor who plays Fishboy is Horatio Sanz, I think is how you say it. He was on Saturday Night Live from 1998 to 2006.
Oh, okay.
And he's worked with Star Wars before. Yeah, I feel that, you know, I think of like the prequels where George said, look, the droids are supposed to be easy for the Jedi to like wipe through. But you never really had that kind of feel with the stormtroopers, and it feels like the newer trilogy has kind of gone the way of that as well, and just kind of the new regime. And so I do get it. I never had that thought through the episode just because I was having fun watching our heroes, you know, jump off a mountain. And that shot of Mando just leaving and running and like looking around, he's like, all right. And he just runs and just leaps and takes off. I thought was awesome.
Right.
But I do feel that. I'm going to move us to another little nitpick of mine before we get into the rest of the happy stuff here. This is interesting. So Gina Carano got flack in the first season for being stale. And I disagreed with that. I actually thought she did a very good job in the first season. I thought this episode she was more stale than anything. I know she's come under a lot of fire right now with cancel culture and things she has said or retweeted. And I don't know I know part of that story. I don't know the full story, but just talking in terms, like, I like her character. I did think that moment at the very end was sweet and a really great surprise moment for her to have been from Alderaan. But I did think, especially at the start, that's why I thought it was a little rocky, especially because of her. Like, even when she just picked up the baby, it didn't feel like it was real to me. It felt like it was like a bad actor's talking to a doll, to be honest. And I think but I think she's definitely learning. But I liked her quite a bit in the first season. But this episode, I liked the fight at the beginning with her kind of showing off how good she is as a fighter. But outside of that, I was just not super into her the whole episode. I thought she was okay. That was my nitpick.
When you're an MMA fighter.
Yeah. She's definitely not an actor's actor by any means.
No,
but
I thought she did a good job in the first season.
She's not going to walk on
fine.
stage and be a Daniel Day-Lewis.
No. I mean, you look at a guy like The Rock who worked and became like a pretty talented actor.
Yeah.
And in the first season, I remember thinking, you know, she's putting more emotion behind it than people were giving her credit for. She is doing a very good job. Like, I believe this character. In this episode, it felt like I was watching Gina Carano try to be the character, which just didn't bode well with me. Once the action got going, I forgot about it because I also didn't think she was the main focal point. It felt like we were focusing a lot on Carl, which I'm for, but he also directed the episode, so it makes sense. But that was one of my little nitpicks. But any thoughts or move on or?
Oh, you go, Tanner.
I guess one of the things that I did have. I know you were talking about how the Star Wars humor really hit for you in this one, which I mostly agree with. There's some good moments where I'm like, okay, that works. But to the counter of that, I thought this was funny. Is one of my other slight nitpicks was I actually thought some of the humor, especially from Carl Weathers, was just hitting the same note over and over again.
He was kind of playing the bully guy to Fishboy quite a bit.
I texted Alex that I'm watching it.
Yeah.
I think he makes like 4 or 5 jokes that it's all just like, I'm gonna hurt you if you don't do your thing.
Yeah. And why I oughta. Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, I don't mind that humor. It's just the continual hitting of that was just like, can we get a different note?
I actually agree with that. I don't consider that into the humor, to be honest. When I said my thing for that, it felt like yes, Fish Guy's not a character we really care about, but he's not a character I don't like. So if he's a character that, is getting bullied in a show that that you're fine with at the most, I would have handled it better if it was a character I didn't like. If it was a character I really was going through like a really good redemption arc, like that makes sense for him to get kind of the bad end of the stick. But he's a okay, goofy character who was just like, I don't really want to be here, but I have no choice. And Carl was like, they were really pushing him with the humor, but and that might have been on his directing. He might have thought, this is how I'm interpreting this script, and this is how I'm going to play it off. So that might have fallen on him as a new director.
Yeah, with Gina Carano's acting, honestly, it was about the same as in the first season. Like, again, we aren't blown away by her acting, obviously, and but at the same time, I'm not thinking like this is the character. I am seeing the actor. She does fine enough, but I just don't. It could be done better probably. But yeah, I noticed that with this episode that these two characters, like, we're returning to them and we should be excited. But throughout the episode, I was like, okay, they're back. That's cool. I'm sure. I don't know, and I don't know if that was like the directing or I've liked the direction that this story has been going, and then coming back to these characters wasn't the right time for it. But I did notice that in this episode where I was like, oh, okay, here we are with them. I should be more excited, but I'm not really. Like, I'm having a good time, but it could be a better time. I don't know. So I did kind of notice that, to where it felt like the directing, or maybe it was just the way the story has progressed, where it just didn't work having these characters return.
Right.
I thought the action worked. I was into the action.
Action was
sorry,
good.
Go ahead, Tanner.
Yeah.
I thought she was serviceable. I agree with you, Kyle, that I don't. It felt kind of the same as the previous one, but I mean, I guess I just inexplicably love the character of Cara Dune, of the background of her Alderanian background, and being a drop trooper. Shock trooper.
I thought she was shock. Yeah.
Shock. But yeah, she's a shock trooper for the rebellion. And I like having all that little background for her. And so she winds up being a little tropey, I guess. And unfortunately, that means that maybe some of the acting kind of comes across a little tropey. But I felt as though that for her character, it works. And I don't know how much more of her we'll honestly be seeing, but
I think she's probably done for the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder if she's done overall with the kind of backlash she's facing, and Disney's been very reactionary in the past to that kind of stuff. So I wonder if this is her out. Like, we know where she is, and like, we don't need to see her again.
I did see some articles like just today where all the headlines were basically saying, oh, after this episode, it looks like Disney found a way to get rid of Gina Carano. And I'm like, I mean, they didn't do it on purpose, but I guess after all this stuff is going on, if you want to get rid of her, sure. But like,
yeah, but they did the same thing they did in the first season. She's in the same spot. The only difference is she's just there. Like, it's just like, hey, if we go to the planet, we just don't talk to her. Like,
it's such a clickbaity title to hype up all this stuff that's going on with her, which I have no place to talk about or not, because I don't know the full story, and it's not my place. But
yeah,
I just thought those headlines were silly.
Let's get into some of the good stuff we like about this ep. Tanner, what you got on them notes?
Oh boy, I'm so excited. Well, one, I don't know if you guys saw, just another little detail. You know that little ferret that's actually with Cara Dune? I don't know if you guys saw in the background of the when they do the slide title cards of the art in the end. That's a ferret that breathes fire.
I did not notice that. That's cool.
There's a straight up painting of the Aqualish, the walrus dudes. As they're like walking in there, and there's one of them that's holding him up by the tail as he's just getting a face full of fire from this little tiny ferret.
That's cool.
Olivia initially pointed it out to me, and I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. Sorry.
I liked the little ferret. I liked the puppetry. It felt very Jim Henson, and I liked that. I liked it quite a bit.
No, that was great. That was great. I don't know if you guys noticed the little statue of IG-11 that was dedicated out.
I did.
Uh,
That's cool.
out in the front. I thought that was a nice little touch. Macaroons were funny.
I actually thought the cookies stood out in a poor way.
Oh,
Right?
really?
That's what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah, they looked too normal for me, and it's like, all right, like sometimes I can deal with that. Like a classroom didn't bother me, but for some reason, those cookies, I was like, they just went and bought those. Like they didn't try to make them look any different. They just went and bought like green versions of them, but I loved the scene with them. But I remember being like, come on, like at least try to make them look funky. Like
It has the Baby Yoda frosting on top of like the cookie or whatever. You're like, wait a
that.
minute.
Yeah. Oh, Kyle, that's exactly what they did. It was a marketing ploy. You know I have to buy them even though I didn't like them.
If you look closely enough, you'll see Baby Yoda's head. They're available at Albertsons. It says on the side.
Yeah. Anyway, continue, Tanner. Sorry.
Yeah.
So let's get to the meat of what happened in this episode. So they decide to once he gets there, he decides that what is it, for repayment for repairing the ship, come take out this Imperial outpost where Moff Gideon used to be based.
Classic bounty hunter deals. Yep.
Absolutely. A side quest. You help me, I help you. Let's go ahead and do this thing. And then all of a sudden we get out there. There's a little bit of that tete-a-tete. They get inside the facility after he jetpacks up. And once they're inside the facility, they find two what I'm guessing are just biologists that have the Kaminoan cloner symbol that's on the left side of their shoulder, the same that
which the scientist had. Yeah.
Yes, the same that Dr. Pershing has. And so, I mean, I'm suspecting they're cloning. That'd be my.
And they dropped a big prequel thing that apparently fans are mad at by saying, because he said M count in refer to the child instead of just saying midichlorian, which I actually liked because I'm with fans. I'm not huge on the idea of what George had with the midichlorians and making it scientific instead of
keeping it mystical.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it in this version. When he said M count, it was like, all right, but it was also, it made sense. It's like, we can't, John and Dave are not going to completely take away that stuff. They understand what the vision is. And so I like that that's how they went about it. And I like that they're bringing stuff from the prequels back, doing the cloning, and they understand that Baby Yoda is from a species that has a high midichlorian count and is incredible in the Force, and that they're trying to clone him and basically clone Yoda, which I think is cool. I think that's a cool idea. That's why the episode ended up working for me, is when that reveal hit, I was like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Well, so you bring up the cloning of Yoda, and this is where I want to get sweaty with you on this one, because boy, I have so many conjectures on this one. My mind's running 1,000 different places, but I'll get the rest of the structure of what had occurred, because so we see the test tube, and a lot of people have been talking about that it's like 100% Snoke that we're seeing.
It did look more like a Snoke than anything else.
It did. And so when I was recalling what he had said in the message, it was volunteers that were okay with these genetic augmentations to occur. And it was showing promising results with the blood from Baby Yoda, but he was unable to drain anymore with risk of killing the child. So I'm curious if are they doing it as like, are they cloning more Snokes? Are they trying to clone a new possibility or a new body for possibly Emperor Palpatine? Or is this going to be a situation of are they trying to pass on Force abilities via genetic modifications, so that way someone like, I don't know, Moff Gideon could actually get a hold of Force powers? Or
that's interesting.
Or even the other one being, which kind of leads into the end scene that we had, is he trying to genetically modify individuals to create a better augmented army so that way he can further his own agenda?
Like a Captain America style army of like Siths and such.
Yeah, because
Because of that end shot.
the end shot that we get is there's a lot of people that are throwing all kinds of different things around there, but the two that I seem to narrow it down to were either that last shot, we see special operations patch that's on the side of the guy, which is actually directly associated with what is it? Dark Forces. It's an old I want to say it's 94 PC game with Kyle Katarn as he discovers what the Dark Troopers are, and realizing that they're like genetically modified Clone Wars veterans that in order to fill out the ranks of the stormtroopers. Now, the other one was Shadow Troopers, and those are troopers that are genetically modified and have dark side powers put into them along with lightsabers. And that one doesn't seem as possible to me because I don't know about you guys, but they looked very droid-like, very...
I thought they looked like suits.
Suits, you say?
I thought they looked like those weren't people. It looked like they were like those were suits that, you know, like a squad would run in and put it on.
Like a stormtrooper suit.
Yeah, but it was like, this is the new advanced suit. But if it is genetic, like androids or something, you know, like that would be interesting.
Can I say what I initially thought it looked like?
Yes.
I thought they looked like Darth Vader suits, but I think I'm pretty sure I'm wrong.
I thought they had
I'm pretty sure I'm wrong.
of looking like Vader. I thought, especially in the mask with kind of the way it was shaped. That's
where I was too. But I don't think that's what it is. But anyway, keep going. Whoever else, because I'm not too sure.
I'd be willing. My money right now is on the new iteration that we have of Dark Troopers. I don't know if you remember from from Star Wars Rebels. You know that Thrawn has Dark Trooper droids around him.
Yes.
Now it's been talked about in canon that there are multiple iterations of Dark Troopers, and so some of them are droids, some of them are genetically augmented individuals that are put into there. I don't know, but my mind is a flurry with it. And if I'm being honest, I really hope that we don't delve into the Snoke Palpatine connection.
Agreed.
Yeah, we talked about that last week a bit.
Yeah.
If they would do that. The Snoke thing it just wouldn't make sense if you're a super nerd, because in the novel it says that Palpatine, right before he fell to it, completely died after falling, sent his essence into a cloned body of his. And the novels have put together that he's been interested in cloning for a while. What I am more curious about than anything is what faction is Moff Gideon? Is Moff Gideon a faction of the Empire that's no, because the Emperor had contingency plans.
Yeah.
Obviously, because he built an army on Exegol, which is dumb. But but is Moff Gideon hey, wait a minute, I could be better at this. Let me handle it. And he took a fraction of the Empire away, and this is what his idea is. I like the idea of him trying to make, if he was making a drug that would give him force abilities, would be interesting. But the only counter I have to that is George has talked a lot when he made the prequels in the original trilogy that the force is, I think if I remember correctly, the comparison he used was yoga. He said the force is yoga. Anybody can do it, but some people are just going to be better at it. And the more you focus, the better you'll be. So maybe this is just a science way to handle it, but the drug idea is interesting. Um, Genetic modified soldiers is cool. Like if he was trying to create like an inquisitor army of like androids or something would be interesting, and giving them force ability, like a higher force ability, and like trying to be like, all right, look, we get you're bad at yoga, so let's cheat. Like
Right.
that kind of mentality would be interesting. That end was cool. The fact that we got a shot just like the first shot you've ever seen in Star Wars with, the camera underneath, and it looked like a miniature. I don't know what you guys thought, but that looked like a miniature to me, that they went old school.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was awesome. I
It was
loved
nice.
it. And that felt very old school Star Wars to me, with him running in. And I'm with you on all these connection stuff, because Moff Gideon, our boy's older. He was around not just at the fall of the Empire, but he was around for that first Death Star going out, and he was probably a young, soldier joining the ranks of the Empire pretty quickly after everything fell apart for the Republic. So he's seen a thing or two, and I think he's definitely more into the Force than we think. And it'd be interesting if he is, if he is a Force user and we're just not sure, because we know he has a saber, but like, is he a strong Force user by himself? Is something interesting. I don't know. I just rambled there, but what do you guys think?
He's also really good at making chicken.
It's true. Just elite chicken. Man, if you need an elite villain, he is so good that when I see him as a villain, he's a villain in The Boys, he's a villain in obviously Breaking Bad, and now here, you can put him in any, like, this is the talent of him as an actor. Like, I'm not stale as him as a villain. It's not like, oh, they're just putting the same character in different things. It feels completely different to me, and I love that. He is such a talent. I love it. That final shot is so old school, like Vader to me. He felt more like a Vader than an Emperor.
Oh yeah.
And that I loved. He had Thrawn vibes, which is just awesome. I loved that. And I'm really curious to see what's going to happen now. That shot of when he says, hey guys, fix the Razor Crest for my buddy, let's go talk in town. There's that one little shot where the guy kind of like looks back, one of the guys repairing as they're leaving. And I remember being like, ooh, and then the episode is designed with action, and I completely forgot about it until the tease at the end. I was like, oh my gosh, that's what that shot was about. And the fact that we know we're going to get Ahsoka this next episode, like, what is this going to fully bring is just what I want to know. Like, is he going to bring an army? And like Ahsoka, like I'm picturing like a moment where Ahsoka says, no, I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to take the child. And then all of a sudden an army shows up, and then it's like, Ahsoka's got her own mission. We're finding Ezra. And then all of a sudden an army shows up, and they're like, all right, we'll fight with you now. Like, you know what I mean? And then they respect each other on the battlefield. That's my guess for this next episode, because that's just what I'm envisioning.
Now, two other theories that were brought out to me, that I when I doing a little bit of research online, two theories that might have a little bit of validity to it. One is that they get a hold of Ahsoka Tano and use her and eventually end up killing her to get her blood as well.
Whoa. You think this new Empire, our boy is going to kill Ahsoka, take Dave Filoni's girl out, and use her blood for whatever they're doing because they need a high midichlorian count. Oh my gosh!
Do you think
Kyle,
Filoni would do that though?
Well,
do you think he'd really risk his character to?
I do.
I think she's gonna die. I do, because why wouldn't she be alive and well and in the new sequel trilogy without Ahsoka being there or being a present individual? By the time the Resistance and the Resistance is actually happening, why wouldn't Ahsoka be involved in any of that? I guess is one of my questions. So I was thinking, it's like, maybe the Mandalorian is where we actually see her killed off, or she lives through the whole Mandalorian and we just see her sloughed off to the side.
That is interesting. If she dies, I wouldn't guess it would happen in this episode.
No, I don't think.
I think it would have, but as I think for people who create characters want to see that character's journey end themselves because they have an idea of what's going to happen.
Right.
And so for Dave Filoni, for him, it might be an adventure to end his character, his beloved character. For him as a writer and a creator, to do that end. And I like that. That is interesting, especially if, if Mando is our new guy and we get him and Ahsoka going around for a bit, like maybe that idea of Baby Yoda getting captured, if they lose this big fight, like how cool would it be if the next like 4 episodes were all one fight and like it ended on a cliffhanger each episode and like it was a big battle where, it's just the clones with Rex and everybody or something and Ahsoka, and they do lose. And Kyle's idea of them taking Baby Yoda and then they kind of Magnificent 7 up to go get Baby Yoda. And then at the end of that next season, she dies. And then we learned as we see that bond between Ahsoka and Mando would be really cool, I think. And then for her to be taken out, that is interesting. I like that. Although the spinoff announcements don't bode well because we all assume it's going to be Ahsoka, but I dig
Filoni's
that.
like, ooh.
He's like, I got a whole show about finding Ezra coming.
One of the other one that this is the one that I'm actually most excited about was the idea that what if Gideon goes to Lady Bo-Katan and says, hey, I have this Darksaber and I know you want it. Give me Baby Yoda and I will give you the Darksaber.
Hires those bounty hunters. Ooh.
So then there's that little bit of conflict that happens between her. Is we don't know, like we like to think of Bo-Katan as a good person, but so far from what we've seen of Lady Bo-Katan is that she still has an edge to her and is a bit ruthless. And honestly, do we know if she would be willing to give up a random child that she doesn't really know much about? So that way she could gain the throne of Mandalore again.
Yeah, and she does have respect for what Mando did for her, but does she, she also slighted him, was like, oh, you're one of those, like kind of, had that tone to it. That's interesting. Right. I like that. Kyle, what are you thinking about all this as a mid-range fan here?
I don't know. I don't know if I like the idea of like troopers who are also with the Force and have like that be the end game.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it depends on if that's the end game. If they're just trying to make a new army but genetically have the Force intertwined in it. I don't know if I really would like that as like the big end game for it. If it's another plot point that leads into the end game, then I might be okay with it. The Ahsoka stuff, I'm not sure about either. I don't want her to like die in this first episode, but maybe in later.
I don't think that happened.
Yeah, no. But maybe in other seasons. But also right now, like I'm trying to get through Clone Wars and Rebels, so I want to see Ahsoka as much as I can, and don't want her to like die
her end
before.
In Clone Wars is elite.
Yeah, so maybe that's just me like wanting to see all of her before her time is over, but I don't know. I kind of also am not for the Ahsoka dying in this show idea. At least not yet anyway.
Yeah. Okay, well, we should probably wrap up and end there, I think.
Yeah,
okay.
Considering time.
Sorry,
Tanner,
like
you cut out. Okay, yeah.
Oh.
I think we're going to wrap the whole show, though, the after show here.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right.
I do like how sweaty we got. We'll talk more about this coming up. Movie Meals, a great episode coming up. Lots of ideas, what's going to happen. So, yeah, as always, thanks for watching, Mom.
See you guys.